right, you guys, I have 3 words for you. Salted caramel, that's gonna be 1. Pretzel, Swiss roll, that's again 1. I can't count. Okay, well, regardless, we are making a definitely rich and decadent dessert today that you are gonna be all over. So let's just jump into it. Really, really simply, to make a Swiss roll, which is basically just a really thin cake that we're gonna roll up around some icing, we're gonna combine our dry ingredients. So I've got half a cup of all-purpose flour, and I'm gonna take about a pinch of salt. Just whisk that together. Okay. Set it aside. Now let's move on to my wet ingredients. I'm gonna do this a little bit differently. So I have a saucepan with some simmering water in it, and over top I'm gonna place a heat-proof bowl, and I'm gonna add my sugar. Now the reason we are doing this, we're not trying to cook the eggs by any means. What I wanna do is I wanna incorporate the sugar as evenly as possible, and a little bit of heat is gonna help dissolve those sugar crystals. So to help the process, I'm gonna use my handy dandy electric mixer and get it mixed until it's pale and frothy. Great, at this stage, you can take it off the heat and continue to mix it for another 3 minutes. It's gonna start to get pretty foamy on you, which is perfect. You'll notice there's no rising agent in this cake recipe. And of course, because it's a Swiss roll, we do want it relatively thin, but we don't want it like a crepe. We don't need it to be chewy. So any of the air that you're gonna create now, we wanna keep and harness for when we get it in the oven so it stays light and airy. At this point in time, you can incorporate your flavoring. So I have got 3 tablespoons of melted butter, and I'm doing Dulce de Leche. It is one of my favorite ingredients. You could do any sort of caramel extract, but I just find the creaminess of Dulce de Leche is perfect in this cake. So I put them both in a bowl, I popped them in the microwave for about 25 seconds just so they incorporate a little bit faster, and then go in with my wet ingredients. All right, we are ready to combine and make the ultimate Swiss roll batter. Dry ingredients are going in with wet. Don't overmix it. We don't want it to be chewy and tough. Mix it until it is just combined. So at this stage, I have my pan already prepared. I have my oven preheated to 425 Fahrenheit. We've got this nice and greased with a sheet of parchment paper, and I'm gonna pour my batter straight in. Okay, and now this little delicacy, this beautiful cake batter is ready to bake for 5 to 6 minutes. That's right, it is a very short bake. You're gonna wanna keep an eye on it. It's so thin that we don't want it to overdo because it's not gonna roll. So stay close to your oven. Okay, see you in a bit. All right, so while my cake is baking, I have prepped my station because the next part of this recipe is kind of quick. So I have a piece of parchment paper that is larger than my cake, and I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of icing sugar over top. That's gonna stop any sort of sticking. All right, my cake is done. I've got it out of the oven, and now we wanna shape it while it's warm. So I'm gonna take a plastic knife because I don't want any scratches on my metal pans. And we're just gonna run it along the edges. Okay, now a little bit tricky. I'm gonna get my hand under it with an oven glove on, obviously. And we're gonna do the royal flip. Here we go, 1, 2, 3, boom! That actually it wasn't pretty, but it's not so bad. I'm gonna straighten it out a little bit and cover the top with a little more icing sugar. Okay, and then starting from the bottom of your parchment paper, roll it on up. So we're gonna do this so that we can shape the cake before we ice it, and then while it's cooling, it will kind of solidify in that shape and be so much easier to roll at the end. All right, this filling is super easy. 2 ingredients. We have got some fresh chilled whipping cream and more of that Dulce de Leche. Use whatever caramel sauce you like. If you've got some homemade caramel, that's awesome. I know I've got a recipe on Tastemade.com if you're interested. I could eat this with a spoon. Sometimes what I do is I take apple slices, boom, 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 and put them in my face, and they're delicious. Cool, so we are gonna whip this up until we have stiff peaks, and along the way, I'm gonna add in a spoon of Dulce de Leche until I've incorporated enough for me. All right, now it's time to combine everything together. So I've got my cooled Swiss roll cake, which I'm going to just unroll ever so gently. Perfect, and now for the salted pretzel bit. I've got some of these delicious hard pretzels, and I'm just gonna crush them over top. Use as many as you like. Okay, and now for rolling. You guys, this process is not the prettiest, but it is going to be the most delicious. So we're gonna pull the parchment paper, and ever so gently, you're gonna kind of lift it up and guide your roll. Oh, I got a bit of a rip. Dang it, it's not perfect. Nobody said it was gonna be gorgeous, but it's gonna be delicious. And there you guys have my recipe for salted caramel pretzel Swiss roll. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you get a chance to make it, and I will see you next time.